call this meeting of the Board of Supervisors together at this time. And I'm going to ask Tim's assistant, Christine, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jeff Dalton will give the invocation.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful as we gather here before Thee today to have the Board of Supervisors meeting. Thank Thee that we have the freedom to do so, and we pray that will bless supervisors with wisdom and all the decisions that they make. Give Thee thanks for the word of Thy power who upholds the universe with the word of His power. We do this in His name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, well, we have a great turnout this morning. We have a lot of employees, and we have item 2A, and I'm not going to read all the names, but it is our county spotlight, and so I'll turn it over to Erica.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. As mentioned, we do have 10 employees that were nominated. The first one is a group nomination and actually includes 9 of our employees. Their nomination read, on March 8, 2023, the Arizona Auditor General's Office announced during its weekly call with the Finance Director that the fiscal year 2022 Gila County financial statements had 0 adjustments. So we want to recognize these employees for helping make that come true. And alphabetically, we're recognizing Amy Staten, Amber Warden, Annie Hammer, Betty Hurst, Crystal Montana, Melissa Wernut, Nikki Weaver, Stephanie Chidas, and Sylvia Martinez. Together, the Gila County Finance team exemplifies teamwork, quality, and integrity. First off, we have Amy, who's been with Gila County for 5 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Amber Warden, who's been with the county for 16 years. Amber. Annie Hammer, who's been with us almost 2 years. Thank you. Betty Hurst, who's been with us 10 and a half years. Thank you. Crystal Montana, who's been with the county for 10 years. Melissa Wernut, who's been with the county almost a year. Nikki Weaver, who's been with the county almost 12 years. Stephanie Chidas, who's been with the county almost 10 and a half years. Thank you. And Sylvia Martinez, who's been with the county over 16 and a half years. Sylvia?
Thank you.
Next, we have a spotlight for Cynthia Castaneda. Her spotlight nomination was from an outside member of the public, and that reads, I wanted to take a moment and commend a member of your staff. I needed to get certified copies of some documents from 1980. I called expecting to be transferred from person to person and expected the process to be difficult. I am pleased to say I was completely incorrect. I made one call and was transferred to Cynthia Castaneda. She was very pleasant to speak with and tried to locate the documents for me. Within an hour, the documents were located and arrangements were made to get copies mailed to me. I was very impressed. Too often, we are quick to point out what is done incorrectly or unprofessionally. I wanted to take a moment to commend Ms. Castaneda's professionalism and hard work. She did a great job and deserves to be recognized for it. Cynthia Costanez with the Clerk of the Superior Court, and she's been with the county for 25 years. Thank you. And that does conclude this month's Spotlight nominations.
Thank you, Erica. Supervisor Humphrey.
I just want to thank everybody so much. We appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all as well. It's good to see and really good to see for the county. So thanks.
Yeah, I really enjoy the spotlights because it just shows what a great team we have with the county. So thank you all for everything that you do. Keep up the good work. You make us look good. Thanks. Item 2B, presentation of September 30, 2023 Gila County financial data as it compares to fiscal year 2024 Gila County budget, fiscal year 2023, fiscal year 22-21, and year-to-date performance. Baron Belling, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. Now that we've fully embarrassed the finance staff, this morning we have our September results, and each year we expect September to be low in revenue and on track for expenditures. So we have that data for you today. These charts just update annually. We now have 4 full years of data plus the budget target, which is your third line in from the left on each set, and the full year budget, which is that first line. And we will have your October update. I believe it'll be the December 5th session. And we do have, we did double check this morning, and we are on track with where we would expect to be for an actual full quarter for that, with the actual first half of property taxes. So when we come back in December, we'll have an update that will reflect where you expect to be, as opposed to the seasonality of property tax collections.
Thank you, Marin. Supervisor Humphrey, any questions?
I have no questions, and I appreciate your charts and your time in them to kind of let us know where we're at, where we're going.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm good on this one, Marin. Thank you so much.
Yes, Marin, thank you so much. Yeah.
Great.
Just get the revenues up and we'll be fine.
Yes, and we are, so as of, let's see, I ran this yesterday morning, property taxes, about 34% of property taxes had come in at the end of October, and that's right where we expect it to be. So
Great.
we're in good shape.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we recognize most of the finance team, but did not include in that recognition Marin Belling, our finance director. I would like to recognize her as the leader of that team and getting those financial statements or audits, working with the Auditor General. I know that having, in a former life, and I'm still recovering from being an auditor myself, but that she spends a lot of time working with them and trying to make sure that she understands what they want and that they understand what we're doing. So I appreciate Marin and her leadership with the finance team and getting our audits and all that stuff. That's critical for us.
We all do. Thank you, Marin. Yeah. Yep. A lot of work. There's just a lot of work. And it's all got to be correct. And it's so hard to get it that way, but you're doing a great job. Thank you. Moving on to item 3A, public hearing. Information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 23-11-06, which approves Gila County Community Development Case Number CUPP 2308-002, a request by Vince and Cynthia Hudson, owners and applicants, for a conditional use permit upon Gila County's assessor's parcel number 301-14-008G, located at 4042 North Arizona Highway 87 in Pine, Arizona. And Randy is going to present.
Morning, Chairman, Supervisors. Again, Vince and Cindy Hudson are proposing to have a CUP to allow commercial retail business in a residential 1 zone area. to allow for a 3-foot tall by 8-foot wide sign to be placed on top of a free existing standing sign advertising the commercial retail business. This project is being processed under section 101.3 point B of our zoning ordinance. On September 21st, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-1 to recommend Gila County Board of Supervisors approve of the conditional use permission application, but after the prerequisite conditions are met and contingent on compliance with other conditions. They held a citizen participation meeting that notified the 300 feet. By the way, I should have started this off. This will require a unanimous decision by the supervisors. I'm sorry that I didn't bring that up for us. So basically, they've held the 300-foot requirement, sent out letters, have done everything. This is, as you know, has been kind of a long-going thing. This is to allow Skies LLC, I believe it's Skies Woodworking LLC, to be operated on this parcel, which is 2 parcels up from where it used to be. This is kind of on the corner there on the highway next to an antique store and down the street from Uncle Tom's Chevron gas station. Legal ads were sent out on 10/17/2023 in the Payson Roundup, and the posting was completed on 10/18. Staff sent property owners within 300 feet of the radius notifications, and to date, let me make sure this is what I wrote. To date, they have 3 letters of support, 1 email of support, 133 letters of support, and a petition of 352 signatures. None of those signatures have been verified. We only verified the 300 feet, but they do have a lot of recommendations there. As of today, there are 17 properties, including the applicants. There are 8 properties for and 6 opposed. We've kind of gone through this before, so I'll just kind of make this as short as I can for you. The applicants are here. I'm sure they'd like to talk, and I believe there's probably other people that would like to talk on this also. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. There is prerequisite conditions that I can read for you. A lot of paperwork. So the prerequisite condition, there are 4. And the chairman, this is what, when they voted that they required happen first, and then there's other conditions. Gila County Public Works Department has received, or reviewed, determined, and issued a permit approving the grading and drainage on this project as may be required. The Gila County Wastewater Department will be required to review, inspect, and issue a letter approving the wastewater system for the approved use. The Arizona Department of Transportation approving the driveway has been submitted to Gila County Community Development Department. The owners are required to obtain engineering stamped plans for the additional of the 3-foot by 8-foot sign to be placed on the freestanding sign. After the prerequisite conditions are made, then the CUP would be in effect. And then there are 7 other conditions. The development, operation, and maintenance shall be in conformance with the applications materials that they have submitted to us. The latest one, I believe, is August 25th, 2023, and with all conditions and approval listed herein. It is responsibility of the owners of the subject property of APN 301-14-008G to obtain all necessary federal, state, county, and local permits that may be required. The issuance of this conditional use permit does not relieve the owner of the liability of failing to obtain required permits. Development plan application must be submitted and approved for the commercial uses on APN 301-14-008G prior to the use. All outdoor lighting shall be hooded or shielded so as to deflect away from the adjacent residential districts or the public right-of-way within 200 feet of the said lighting and shall comply with Gila County outdoor lighting ordinance. No outdoor area lighting or illumination signs may be permitted within the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., except for a minimum of necessary amount to provide security. No commercial activity shall be permitted between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., and no items can be placed within 20 feet from the front setback from the property line on the property unless they are located directly behind an existing current rock block wall, and that was placed on November 7, 2023 on APN 301-1400AG. Behind means west side of block wall, on side of the block wall facing the existing structure. So those are the conditions that the commission voted on, and if you have any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Supervisor Humphrey for Randy.
Randy, I have no questions, thank you.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good on questions. Comments is my God, all the conditions that we listed almost need a dictionary to go through and figure it all out. So.
Well, I think we talked about them all during the meeting, and the applicants were sent the conditions and stuff, so I think everyone's on the same page.
Good, thank you, Randy.
Yeah, and I have no questions. I know we have some that wish to speak, so what I'd like to set is some ground rules to try and hold your speaking to 3 minutes or less, and not repeat what someone else has been talking about. I noticed we have about 7 people in Payson. I presume they are here to speak on this as well. I'll call on you after we address those that are here in this room. Cindy Hudson.
Good morning, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey, and Chairman Christensen. I will be brief in my summary of the overwhelming support that we have for CUPP 2308-002 from property owners as well as members of the Pine Strawberry Payson communities. I would like to point out that in the Gila County Comprehensive Master Plan, goal number 4 is active, knowledgeable, and involved citizenry that represents the diversity of the county, the citizens and their opinions, and an active citizen and agency participation program. We have addressed the active participation program with the participation meeting that's required. The community support will be obvious. Okay, the objective under that, under goal number 4, objective 401, is to encourage active citizen involvement in county decision-making processes. Policy 4.0A, the county shall encourage public participation in all county processes. Okay. So according to those parameters, we have shown overwhelming support from the community. I won't reiterate what Randy has said about the citizen participation, that being basically 8 for and 6 against. The additional we desire to remain neutral. So that totals the 17 properties. In addition to that, we have submitted 133 letters to you, our county supervisors, letters in support, asking you to pass this CUP. There have been 13 emails to planning and zoning, and I know there were 13 because they were CC'd to the Beeline Guest House. And Chairman Supervisor Christensen, you yourself said in your town hall meeting August 8th, 2023, that you had a stack of emails this thick. We also submitted a petition with 352 signatures verified to be residents of Pine, Strawberry, and Payson, District 1 constituents. So, bringing Skies and Pine to the Beeline Guest House property is compatible and harmonious with current property use along Highway 87. Our CUP is consistent with the Gila County Comprehensive Plan amended in February 2018, which designates properties along State Route 87 in Pine as a multifunctional corridor. And that is, and I'm quoting from the comprehensive plan, intended to create opportunities for additional revenue generation and employment opportunities presented by proximity to and with visibility from State Route 87. So we have completed all county requirements. We have complied with all county requirements. Oops,
Oh, that's
sorry.
your timer.
Oh, that's not mine. Sorry. I thought it was my timer. Okay, we have complied with all county requirements. Gila County staff and citizens of Pine, Strawberry, and Payson ask you to pass this CUP to allow Skies and Pine.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Vince, did you say you were going to forego?
You know, I think I better, because we went over a little bit. But
Okay.
first and foremost, Steve, we appreciate you asking us to reapply for this permit. Sorry, ma'am, I apologize. Mr. Christian, we appreciate you asking us to reapply for this because we think it's the right thing and we're in all the parameters that we need to meet.
Just to be correct, Vince, I said you have the option or freedom to reapply.
No, correct.
Okay, all right.
All right,
Just
thank
wanna
you.
Make that clear. Thank you, Vince. And Ronald Davidson.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Tell
30
us,
years ago,
tell us who you are, Ron.
my name is Ron Davidson,
Yeah,
and everybody knows me as Sky.
okay.
30 years ago, I started doing business in Pine, Strawberry area, making deliveries. I was doing shows between Payson and Show Low. And I built several stores throughout other states. Primary objective is to have a great location. With a good location, then you can create a business which is a draw, which is a destination. That was my whole objective going into Pine. Create a destination for people to come to. Whether they buy from me or not, it doesn't matter, because they'll come up to go to my business. Maybe they'll buy from some other business, which is what I hope. I did create a good business there for the 8.5 years that I was there at that location, previous location. However, my lease was terminated on March 15th of this year. Since then, I have looked for several locations. The location at the Beeline Guest House is the only other suitable location to do what I do. So I just want to have the opportunity to recreate the destination that I created over the last 8.5 years and make it so that we have more revenue like we had before. So that's all that I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. How many in Payson wish to speak? Okay. If you have
Just one,
something
sir.
additional to add, please come to the microphone and introduce yourself.
Sir, I have one that would like to speak.
Okay.
Give them your name and speak into the microphone. Okay. Hi, my name is Star Matthias. Everyone knows me as Starland. And I have been working with Sky for the last 7 years. And I can tell you that Skies and Pine did become a destination. People would bring their kids year after year to not only see the furniture, but play in the teepee. And what was really interesting is that not only would they shop in our store, but they would shop in all the other stores along 87. It was good for the community. And they would bring their kids, they bring their grandkids, and shop in all the little stores at Old Settlers Village. And we want to bring that back to the community. That's why it's so important for Skies and Pine to be in Pine. It's good for the community, and it's good for everybody around. Thank you.
Thank you, Star. Is that all then in Payson?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Cassandra, do we have anyone to make a comment on YouTube? No, okay. So with that, I'll close the public hearing and ask Supervisor Humphrey if he has any comments or questions.
I have none.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good to go.
Okay, then I will call for a motion.
Okay, I would make a motion to adopt the resolution number 23-11-06.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving on. Next item, 4A. Regular agenda items, information, discussion, action to approve the sale of the old sheriff's office SO law enforcement badges to the SO employees for $17 per badge. And further, it has been determined that these badges are unauctionable. Ms. Sarah White.
Hi, Chairman, members of the board. The Sheriff's Office did new badges about 5 months ago. We finally have them all in and deployed, and now we have all of the old badges that are pretty worn. Definitely unauctionable. We don't want that to get into somebody else's hand that's not a certified officer in the state of Arizona. So we're coming to the board to ask. A lot of these things too mean something to these officers. It was probably the first badge that was ever pinned on them. Some of them, their dad pinned it on them, things like that. So what we would like to do is come to the board and ask if we can sell them to the employees for $17 per badge. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Supervisor Humphrey.
To me, $17 is kind of a low amount. So what are you gonna do with the money?
So it'll actually go back into the general fund and reimburse a portion of the money that was paid to buy the new badges.
Okay, and how many badges are there?
Well, that's going to depend too, because it's going to depend if the employee wants to buy it. Some of them may not want to buy them, so I'll have those numbers and I can email them to you once we figure that out.
Yeah, I guess. I'm just wondering if it was their first badge, they're first responders, why don't we just give them the first badge? That's just where I'm from.
Sure.
But, you know,
So-
I mean, because $17, it's like, how much difference is that gonna make in your yearly budget when it's this big? To just give someone the gift that they've, because you can't,
yes.
okay.
So-
Here comes a hammer, boo!
So I was going to tell you, the sheriff would agree with you. Finance and legal is where we came up with the $17. So.
So it's gotta be 17 to be legal?
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Humphrey, because we cannot gift public funds, we researched what a reasonable resale amount was. We were able to find that if there are companies that if you purchase your badge through them, this is the amount that they would give you if you recycled your old badge through them toward the cost of your new badge. So a new badge costs $85. The $17 was deemed to be the minimum that we could accept as basically the cash equivalent, so that it is not gifting of public resources for the sheriff's department staff to keep their badges if they choose to. I understand that there are some optics to that are negative, but we did come up with the lowest possible amount that we could in this instance.
I guess with that said, that's some of the punishment we get to keep up with our yearly audits to enable us to do other things. So I appreciate it now, but yeah. And so that's the only plus I can see, is that we get a lot of other benefits by being audited and being able to pass those audits. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Maren. Jessica, did you have anything to add to that?
I'm good, Chairman. Maren said it perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein.
I don't even know if I should open my mouth. So, you know, I totally disagree with charging them for any of it. I understand the gifting clause because we constantly are against that. But are we sure that 17 is the lowest amount we can go and not $1 a badge? I mean,
I think they know us well enough.
I'm gonna make them think a little bit, Supervisor Humphrey.
All I can bring you is the information and advice that I have received from the county attorney's office and our mutual research. If there's another way, I'm not opposed to exploring that, but this is the information that we were able to back with research and available information.
Now you got the attorney coming.
Can I say something to you guys real quick?
Sure.
This isn't the only thing that's coming up like this. So what we're trying to do is work with finance and with legal to have some kind of a model for other items that might come up that the officers might want to purchase that we're either upgrading or getting rid of or something like that. So we found that the only way to place a value on these things is to find out what anybody would give them for you on a regular basis. Obviously, there's eBay and all that stuff. You go through that, that'd be ridiculous. But you would have, in this instance, we have a standing offer for the trade-ins for $17 a piece. So that gives us a number to work with. Otherwise, the number is just out in the ether somewhere because it could be anything you want to say. So this just establishes not only a precedent for this, but future items that the officers might want to take with them that we could come up with a value for. So there's no violating the gift.
Yeah, we can't violate that. I mean, Jessica will be the first to squall if we try, so. You know, we have a spotlight award for people, and how much do we give them in the cards or whatever? Is it like $10
I think it's
or?
more than
The
that.
card is $25 and each employee is taxed on that.
Right on, so we can
Can't-
cut them
can't
a
get
really
that
good
either.
deal and skip taxes on a badge for each of your officers. I'll do the deal for the spotlight nominations. If you can line your officers up in here, we'll just give them their old badge.
And they can pay the taxes on the.
And they can worry about that themselves.
Actually, there's quite a few that want to take advantage of this. If they had to come and talk to you about it face to face, it might change that a little bit. I don't know. But I don't know what to tell you. It does seem like we're going a long ways for not a lot, but on the other hand, we are keeping our hands clean too, so.
Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Chairman, members, supervisors. So we have the authority here that you're finding that the badges are not auctionable. We find that because we don't want to put badges out there for other people to utilize. If the board is finding that they have little value, then that could also justify your reason for not auctioning it. Now, in regard to the gift clause, what we're looking for is that it's not grossly disproportionate to what the county is receiving in return. We placed a value on the badges, what we could get back from another swap. If they wanted to purchase the new badges and trade out those old badges, it would be $17. Now, the board could find that perhaps $5, $10 is not grossly disproportionate to what the county is receiving in return. That is the memory for the sheriffs who have worked in the past, or their contribution to the county in the past, if you want to allow them to continue to have those badges. So you just need to find that the value is not grossly disproportionate to that $17.
If that's opening the door for me, I can figure something out, Jessica. So, yeah, you know, these law enforcement officers, men and women, they give us everything they've got. And we run with a limited amount of people, so they work their tails off all this time. And to me, it's just something very small to be able to give them their badge they started with from us as an agency, so.
Agreed. But of course, that did cost the county funds at one time when it was purchased.
I understand, Adam, but what has it costed them to be officers?
I'm not making a case for this. I wanted to just give it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to keep the sheriff on the up and up.
I understand. They say the same about me, Sarah, so
Okay.
I'm good with.
So, given all that information, I will ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve of old sheriff's officers' law enforcement badges, 2 sheriff's officers' employees for $0.
Jessica's trying to breathe.
You didn't ask to like it, you just asked for a motion.
Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
I would recommend just putting some sort of dollar value on there so that you could justify finding that it was not grossly disproportionate.
For a lack of a second, would you like to rephrase your motion?
Yes, I move to approve, the old sheriff's officers' law enforcement badges, to sheriff's officers' employees for $1 per badge.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes, $1
Thank
per
you.
badge.
Thank you. We do really appreciate it. The staff is pretty excited. They thought they were gonna have to turn them in, so.
We're gonna get it on the backside when we don't pass an audit, but we'll deal with it. We have a great staff, we just honored them all. So we'll try to work it out somehow. Gee whiz.
Thank you.
Okay, then, let's move on to item 4B, information, discussion, action to review all bids submitted for request for proposal 0721 let me say it again, 072123, food service for Gila County Detention Center. Award a contract to the lowest, most reasonable, qualified bidder, and authorize the chairman's signature on the award contract for the winning bid. Ms. White.
Yes. Sorry, we'll excuse Mr. Fulton. They had a medical emergency in the jail this morning, so I'll be presenting. I'll do my best. Chairman, members of the board, this is the annual food contract for the detention facility here in Globe. They also do prepackaged food that gets sent up to the substation in Payson. And then it does also service the Women's Annex that is on the same property located as the Globe facility down here. It is, with that, I'll take any questions that you guys have. We had two bidders come back, which was Summit Food and Trinity Services, so.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Questions, Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no question.
Supervisor Clark?
Sarah, is this the same contractor as before?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions, Sarah. So
Okay.
with that, I'll call for a motion. Or are we deciding something else? Are we deciding which one?
Yes, you are awarding the bid to the lowest one,
To the lowest one, got it.
Which I believe, though, you had Summit and Trinity. If I'm not mistaken, which finance might have to hop up here, is there was a cost difference, but Trinity was the one awarded as far as they would use existing staff that's already been processed through the background and employed in the facility, and that they also are local and had the ability. They service DOC here in the Globe area. So when our kitchen was down, they were able to continue to provide food for 5 full days.
Great. I'll
Okay.
call for a motion then.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to award a contract to Trinity Services Group in the amount of $424,653 in response to request for proposals number 072123 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Thank you, gentlemen. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Sarah. Item C, 4C, information, discussion, action to ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval for the Sheriff's Office electronic submittal of the FFY 2023. That's probably supposed to be just FY. Anyway,
Mr. Chair, it is FFY, that's federal fiscal year.
federal fiscal year. Okay, thank you. State 2023 State Homeland Security Grant application to the Arizona Department of Homeland Security on February 24, 2023, and approved. Federal fiscal year 2021 Homeland Security Grant Program Award Reallocation Agreement number 21-AZDOHS-HSGP-210304-02 in the amount of $2,609, and FFY 2022 Homeland Security Grant Program Award Reallocation Agreement number 22-AZDOHS-HSGP-22030601 in the amount of $16,000, and FFY 2023 Homeland Security Grant Program Award Agreement Number 23 AZDOHSHSGP 230306-1 in the amount of $15,391 for the performance period beginning October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024 to upgrade the CSoft Telex dispatch consoles. Lieutenant Scott.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Back on the end of February, I submitted for a grant through the State Homeland Security. As we're improving our communications for the Sheriff's Office and the others that we dispatch for, the need came up that we needed to upgrade our CSoft dispatch consoles. The ones we currently have are 8 years old. Technology's changed. They have newer firmware, and so the decision was made that we needed to upgrade that to keep in line with everything else. I submitted the grant. It was approved, but as you see, they had reallocation money left over from 2021 and 2022. So they funded our project totally with the reallocation funds of $2,000 from one, $2,609 from one, and then the other one was $16,000, and then they funded the rest of the program with the new fiscal or the new grant funds for this year at $15,391 for a total of, which was 32,000, 34,000, somewhere in there. I'm sorry. But yes, and we're in the process. As soon as everything's good, we'll get new quotes and get the system ordered and get it installed so we can upgrade what we have.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Any questions?
I have no question.
Any questions, Supervisor?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, and I have none either, but I'm going to ask Jessica whether or not a motion could be stated more simply
So moved.
by just saying, I move to approve or disapprove, whatever. Item 4C.
Yes, or Chairman, member supervisors, if you reference the motion that you proposed at the beginning of the agenda item.
Okay, then I'll call for a motion.
So moved. I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's going to be a really long day if we got to read all that again.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay. Item 4D, information, discussion, action to approve the Superior Court submission of the fiscal year 2024 amended Fill the Gap grant application to the State of Arizona Administrative Office of the Courts for enhanced criminal case scanning in the amount of $5,505.65. Cassie.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Before you this morning is the Superior Court's amended Fill the Gap grant application. We initially brought this grant before you on September 5th. We soon after realized we needed to revise our numbers. We've made those changes in this application and bring it back before you for approval. If you recall, this grant supports the fees associated with scanners that are throughout our limited jurisdiction courts for the uploading and scanning of documents into the court's case management system.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
No?
I'm good as well. I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the submission of an amended fiscal year 24 Fill the Gap grant application in the amount of $5,505.65.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Thank
Cassie.
you, appreciate it.
4E, information, discussion, action to approve contract number CTR 0161840 with the S.J. Anderson Company in the amount of $220,084.65 through June 30th, 2024 for the fairgrounds, prefab, bathroom slab, and earthwork supplemental. Dub Britton.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This request for approval to S.J. Anderson is to complete the final phase of establishing the utilities, the septic, electrical, concrete work, ADA parking and access, earthwork, and additional leach field that was required by ADEQ to get a septic permit out there. The proposal also includes engineering surveying and fees required for the septic system permit from ADEQ and Gila County building permit, as well as APS fees for design, surveying, and extension of power to a new transformer and service connection at the new building. Any questions?
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, thank you. I'm glad to see this kind of getting sewn up.
Yes.
Supervisor Klein.
So this is the final stage of the
This will be the
restrooms?
final stage, yes.
Oh, good.
Probably have to come back, we have to get a easement approval for the APS run. So that'll be another thing coming up, but there won't be, the fees are all included in this, so we're good on that.
Mr. Chair, I do believe I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, on the electrical for the bathrooms, that's down between the two arenas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Will there be enough electrical run to that bathroom for the second arena for announcer stand and things of that
Yes.
nature?
Yes, that was.
Okay, I'm just trying to think ahead, because if we
There's-
get it there and then it's just
Oh,
stones
yeah.
throw away, so is
Yeah.
that included in this?
It is.
Okay.
That new transformer that APS will be setting has adequate capacity to feed any future needs on that second arena.
Thank you guys very, very much, appreciate it. So that's all, Mr. Chair, I have.
I think I'm good.
You good? I'm good too. So I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve contract agreement number CTR 0161840 with the S.J. Anderson Company in the amount of $220,084.65 as presented.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4F, information, discussion, or action to approve amendment number 3 to contract number CTR 050894 with Janiserve Incorporated to extend the contract for an additional year for the term of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, and increase the contract amount to $259,293.99 to provide janitorial services for both southern and northern regions of Gila County. And we have Melissa Cervantes.
Yes,
Did I say that right?
you did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. On July 11, 2023, the Board of Supervisors approved Amendment Number 2 to State Contract Number CTR 050894 to extend the term of the contract for one additional year to June 30th, 2024, for a contract amount not to exceed $206,503.13 without prior written approval from the county. The Facilities and Land Management Director recommends the Board of Supervisors approve the amendment to contract number CTR 050894 with Janiserve Inc. to increase the contract amount by $52,790.86 to accommodate the minimum wage increase for the years 2023 and 2024, continue a day shift employee, and add a new service location at the Public Works Sheriff Substation located at 4677 North Highway 288, Young, Arizona. Janiserve will now manage all location, which supports the goal of standardization, resulting in a cost savings of approximately $10,400. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
So, Melissa, this is extended for 1 year, and is that the end of the contract and it'll fly again for a new one, or do we have other extensions?
There's another extension.
There'll be another one after that?
Yes, there will.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions, so I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
can I ask a question and clarification?
Sure.
You said that this is for the sheriff's office in Young?
The
Can-
Sheriff's Office roads, there's a substation in Young, a small building at the roads yard, correct?
Does this extend to the Veterans Retreat at all?
No, that is a separate contract
And we have a separate contract with who for that?
with Janiserve for the Veterans Retreat.
Okay. Did that bring up any more?
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, James, for bringing that up. So we'll have we'll end up with two different cleaning services up there, one for the vet and then one for everything else.
There's just one other location up there besides the Veterans Retreat, and that
Right.
is the Roads and Sheriff Substation Building.
Right.
We kept the contract for the Veterans Retreat with Janice separate.
Okay, so the contractor that has the Veterans Retreat, that's the only building or buildings that they're gonna service, or
Yes, it is the same contractor. It is also Janice.
but it's not a part of this contract?
Correct.
Oh.
You got them all coming up now.
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Klein, because we have a special use permit with the USDA Forest Service, we have to track all the expenditures for the Pleasant
Separately.
Valley Veterans Retreat separately. So finance would advise keeping the two contracts separate so that
Yeah.
it's very easy to illustrate to the federal government
Costs.
the costs associated with PVVR.
Thank you, Maren, because I totally spaced that one. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm
Thank
on
you,
track
Maren.
now.
Are we all good?
We're good.
Okay, then I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 3 to contract number CTR 050894 with Janiserve Incorporated in the amount of $259,293.99 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Item 4G is not ready at this time, so I'm going to ask for a motion to table item 4G.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I thought we had legal advice we needed on item 4G.
Okay, then go ahead.
So I'd like to ask Jessica to please advise the Board of Supervisors regarding item 4G.
Okay, thank you, Jessica.
Do you want to call for the item?
Yes, so it's item 4G, information discussion action to approve intergovernmental agreement number 0913 between Gila County and the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension in the amount of $70,000 to be utilized for continued program support.
Yes, Chairman, Member Supervisors, I would like to provide some legal advice on this item. So either I could do it open in the meeting, we could have private discussions, or I would recommend an executive session.
So you're recommending an executive session?
Correct.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss item G.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and seconded to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. call for a motion on item 4G.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to table item 4G and staff to continue as directed in executive session.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Maren. Up next, 4H, information discussion, action to approve the implementation of budgeted and unbudgeted inter-fund transfers from fiscal year 2023 and preparation of budgeted and unbudgeted inter-fund transfers for fiscal year 2024. Maren.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Supervisor Klein, Supervisor Humphrey. We brought you this item initially on January 17th for approval to prepare these entries. The entries were prepared and completed after working closely with Heinfeld Meach, our CPA firm, and with county leadership. And we are here this morning for approval of those. This is just to be in compliance with ARS 42-17106, and also to ask for permission to work on those for fiscal year 2024, and the information is attached to the agenda item.
Thank you, Maren. Questions, Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein?
Maren, this is, you got the LATCF fund
Yes,
up there.
that's correct.
So this is still money that's getting shifted around out of the first $6 million?
So, yes, sir. So this, Supervisor Klein, Chairman Christensen, with the first $6 million, we sought the advice of Heinfeld Meach, our CPA firm, for how we could use that funding to alleviate deficit fund balances that were arising in several of our funds and were present on previous year's financial statements. With Heinfeld Meach's guidance, we were not able to alleviate prior period deficits. That was based on their guidance and the guidance that came out of the federal government regarding the LATCF funding, which is the local area and tribal consistency funds. Those funds are based on PILT ratios. With Heinfeld Meach's guidance, we were able to transfer expenditures for the ongoing operation of the county to the LATCF fund, which alleviated deficit fund balances for fiscal year 23. The majority of those were from the operation of facilities. For fiscal year 24, Mr. Menlove and I worked together with facilities staff and with finance staff to restructure how things are reported in the finance system so that we don't create a deficit fund balance anymore for facilities. Up until fiscal year 24, stemming back to previous leadership, facilities was being run as its own fund, but facilities has no revenue source, so it was consistently running at a deficit. With these transfers, as brought to you today, there's about $940,000 left of the initial $6 million deposit.
Okay. And so the initial $6 million is going to cover all that, put us back in where we need to be as far as facilities and whatever else going forward. So then going forward, we won't be incurring any of that debt, right?
Not for facilities. You won't see a deficit fund balance for facilities anymore. They are now in the general fund, which is the 1005 fund, and you will also, beginning this year, be seeing those expenditures and those budgeted line items in the general fund. So there's a lot more transparency for all of you. Our goal is to make the finance system user-friendly in a way that somebody who doesn't do what we do all day can look at the information and know how the performance is. Historically, that transparency required more knowledge and fluency than we would expect anyone in your seats to have. So we want to make sure that we empower you to be able to see information and know that it tells you what you want to know.
Well, I'm glad we're able to do that with the money that we had and bring everything up to where we're back on track now. We're good to go. My big focus is that second $6. And I don't want to see us tapping into that until there's a discussion.
Right, and we're not talking about that
Yeah,
today.
perfect.
This is just about these items and to allow us to, as journals are needed to prepare them, we would still bring them back to you for
Yeah.
approval.
Thank you, Mayor. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve budgeted and unbudgeted interfund transfers for fiscal year 23 and preparation of budgeted and unbudgeted interfund transfers for fiscal year 24.
I'll second that, Mr.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Item 4I, information, discussion, action to approve an intergovernmental agreement with the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community for grant funds in the amount of $158,138.05 to be distributed to the Hells Gate Fire District for fire operations support, including repairs and maintenance. Aaron again.
Mr. Chair, Supervisors, I believe Chief Morris was going to be calling in on the phone. I don't know if we have him this morning. This IGA is a new layer of documentation required by the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community. It follows on the resolution you adopted on September 19th. That was Resolution 230904, at which time the chairman signed saying that Gila County would be the pass-through entity for these funds. So today we're just bringing you the IGA, which reasserts that same information and ensures that Hell's Gate will have access to this funding to be used for their maintenance and repair efforts in addition to ongoing fire district operations.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Klein.
Chief Morris does an outstanding job with these folks. I tell you what, I don't know how much money he's received from the casino, but it's been a lot. I think he needs to go around and give lessons to the other fire departments. That's what I'm thinking. So
Chief Lockhart at Christopher Coles also does. Both of them could.
Are you on the
provide
phone?
Additional education.
Are you on the phone, Chief Morris?
Yes, Supervisor Klein, I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Congratulations. I just saying how much.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that very much. Well, my business manager told me so far I'm about $750,000 in the 3 years that I've been here in getting any types of grants. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Way to go. Good job. That's all I had, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, do you have something? No.
Oh, Chairman, I was just letting you know he's on the line.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community for grant funds in the amount of $158,138.05 to be distributed to the Hells Gate Fire District.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve, and we appreciate Chief Morris being on the line. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Marion.
Thank you.
Thank you. 4J, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 2 to a memorandum of understanding between the Arizona Community Action Association doing business as Wildfire and Gila County to increase the funding by $45,280 for a total fund amount of $278,680 for the period of August 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2024. Kaylee.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As stated, this is a small increase. This will likely be the last increase that we are allowed from Wildfire, but they were able to give us just over $45,000 extra to continue our dental program that we're working with the health department on. So this has been super great so far. I just wanted to give you a little snapshot of what we've been doing. Right now, we have 27 clients, and about 13 are either completed or scheduled for their final visit with the dentist. I believe we have 3 clinics scheduled for the rest of this month, so we'll continue to be able to serve a few more clients with this extra money.
Thank you. Kaylee, any questions there, Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions other than thank you for helping those that need it.
Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Kaylee.
Yeah, thank you, Kaylee. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 2 to a memorandum of understanding between the Arizona Community Action Association doing business as Wildfire and Gila County to increase the funding by $45,280 as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Kaylee. 4K, information, discussion, action to approve funding agreement number 537-24 between the Arizona Department of Housing and Gila County Community Services Department in the amount of $363,165 for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026 to provide engagement and service navigation for residents experiencing homelessness in Gila County. Kaylee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I do want to preface this with a bit of an apology. I do believe that this was applied for prior to my taking over as director, and I do not believe permission was asked to apply for this grant, but I do think it would be really great for our community. So we were awarded this grant if you were to accept it, and in the proposal, it was written to provide short-term lodging or motel vouchers as well as emergency food for our homeless populations. With this, it will fund 1 full-time staff who will help identify the causes of homelessness within the families and then help get them connected with services that they may need to come out of homelessness. So in addition to that, I would like to let you know that there is a small match requirement. However, my department does have a bit of general fund savings that can cover this small match. So, open to questions.
And Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you for sorting this out to start with, Kaylee.
Yes, sir.
So, and I think this is a very important service that Gila County needs. So this $363,000 will basically fund a full-time staff position. Do we already have that position in place?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it'll do that, and then the rest of it will be used for what again?
It will be used for short-term motel vouchers, and these will be more so transitionary. So as someone is looking for housing, we can put them up in a motel, get them out of the elements, especially winter's coming for our folks up in Payson. That's going to be probably something we see an increase of people needing to be out of the elements. And then we can also provide some emergency food for them as well.
Okay, so this full-time person will be working with folks in Payson?
Payson
Like
and
at the
Florida,
warm?
but
Yeah,
they'll be based in Payson.
They'll what?
They'll be based in Payson.
Oh, they will be based in Payson. Okay, so they'll be working with the warming center and the folks up there as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you again for sorting this out.
That just rose a question. So,
Yes.
so some of this money will be spent in southern Gila County as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good enough.
Okay, and Kaylee, you already have this person working.
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
Her name's Hannah. Her first day was yesterday.
Oh, okay, so I have not met her. Is she working at the 260 complex?
She's in the Payson Cap office.
In the which one?
The Payson Cap office,
Oh, okay.
right there by Dutch Bros.
Sure.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thanks, Kaylee. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Arizona Department of Housing funding agreement number 53724 in the amount of $363,165 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Kaylee.
Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, member supervisors, for this item, because the application was already submitted, I would recommend bringing the application submission before the board for the ratification. I would have had you just include it in the motion. However, the ratification needs to be publicized, so it needs to specify the board will ratify the submission of the application. So just a procedural matter, but I recommend having staff submit that.
Okay, so do you need a motion to that effect?
No, no,
You're just recommending that,
recommending it.
so it
will be on a
future moving all the way over to there, right? So, okay, work it out then.
Yes.
Sounds good. Ba-ding, ba-ding, ba-ding. Okay. Okay, is that all on that one? Let's move on to 4L, information, discussion, action to review all bids submitted for request for number 081523, the Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat Wastewater System. Award a contract to the lowest, most responsible and qualified bidder and authorize the chairman's signature on the award contract for the winning bidder. Mr. Beck.
Good morning, Chairman Christensen and member supervisors. Yeah, so we went out to bid with this. We received one bid from EarthQuest. This is to maintain what we have at the Pleasant Valley facility. They're gonna inspect every 3 months. So we have a list of things that our staff still need to do monthly for the system. And this will inspect every 3 months and make sure that we keep the system in tip-top shape so that we don't have any future issues.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Beck. And Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too. So I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to award a award a contract to EarthQuest Plumbing LLC in the amount of $6,000 in response to request for proposals number 081523 as presented, and authorize the chairman's signature on the contract.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And item 4M, information, discussion, action to accept the grant award for the Arizona Companion Animal Spay and Neuter Committee in the amount of $10,000 that will be used to expand Gila County's discounted spay and neuter services for a period of 1 year.
Chairman,
Yes,
supervisors.
sir.
Yep. So, every dollar that we get every year from this program is good for us. It's a low cost. It basically provides most of our low cost spade and neuter program, which, the less unloved or taken care of pets that we have in the county, the less work we have to do as animal care and control, the less dogs in the shelter, the less work for all of us, and the less we have to budget. So, altogether good for pets, good for us, and we appreciate the funding that they give us most years that we apply for.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good. Thank you.
So Josh, these are for like stray animals, or this isn't to help support people in the community that just want to have their
Correct.
dog done.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'll ask for a motion.
I move to accept a grant award from the Arizona Animal Spay and Neuter Committee in the amount of $10,000.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Josh. Information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of request for proposal 092723, consulting services opioid abatement to secure qualified organizations to support and supplement the opioid abatement work already being accomplished by Gila County. Josh, again.
Correct. So this funding is through the opioid settlement that the state of Arizona is receiving through the One Arizona Opioid Settlement. So I thought a lot about what I want to do with this. I think we're at $6.4 million over the course of the next 18 years. That money is still coming in much more random and not as orderly as what I would like. So where I'm at in the meantime is that if you remember, I presented items before where I have an RX opioid grant where we work on naloxone distribution and other things through the county health department. I also have a grant with the Department of Justice that also works along the lines of opioids right now that ends in a year and a half that I'm working on, that also works with creating an opioid website and other things to work with this type population. So what I'm looking at in the meantime, because I don't want to be commingling my funds and crossing over too much with the different types of activities I do with different funding streams, is there was a Exhibit A that came along with the opioid settlement, has a list of A through S of all these different kinds of activities that you can do. I want to put that out to bid, at least for the first few years, and we'll see how that goes. See what local organizations or statewide organizations may have that they would bring to the table that could supplement what we're already doing in the county, or improve what we're doing in the county, or come up with brand new ideas that would be things that I haven't thought of, because it's honestly is an area of expertise for me. So we're hoping to put this out there and see what kind of bids we get. Maybe it could be multiple vendors or single vendors, and we'll just kind of roll with it and hopefully see some new bids that are, that can, like I said, really help improve and work with the work that we're already doing in the county. And that's why this is going out to bid.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Josh, what kind of money do you think we're talking about on this?
The AG's office broke it down for us, and if you look at the list that I have, it's around $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Out of that, each one of the cities and towns has a percentage that they get. I believe it's like 22% for Payson, 15% for Globe. There's it's at 3% for Miami. Hayden, Winkham, and Star Valley also get percents if it comes to less than $500 when you make the calculations. We don't fund those, so we're making sure that any kind of bids that are taken, is holistically looking at the county. But yeah, so I think Gila County itself right now ends up with 71% of that dollar amount. So if everything goes the way it should, somewhere between like $280,000 and $310,000 a year would be my guess for the county's portion. Again, the complicated part so far is the one we got so far was the Janssen settlement, Johnson settlement. It's for 18 years. It was a specific dollar amount. Year one, we received like $117,000. Year two, we received like $76,000. Year three, split the difference. So we're still in that, fact finding of how do we budget this and really do anything. So before I kind of get to where I consider staff or anything else, I feel like that's kind of why I'm doing this. Is we know what money we have already banked on this. We're doing a needs assessment right now, just so everyone's aware. So by the time these contracts, if we get bids and are in place and we like those, by the time those are in place, we'll have opioid needs assessment, where we have Midwestern University, I believe, is going to be looking at all the different data and everything we have, and they'll be able to hand off kind of here's what's needed. At our last opioid fatality review board, we actually had everybody that attended the review board. There were glass jars that kind of like represented each one of the things within this opioid settlement. And the people that work on the review board, which is kind of our sheriff's departments, police departments, all the people that work in that area, we're putting pennies into different jars so we could see right there, So we're making sure that we guide where the money will be spent, but that's kind of where we're at.
All right, thank you, Josh.
Okay, then I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize advertisement of request for proposals number 092723.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 4O, information discussion action to approve an intergovernmental agreement contract number CTR 067227 with the Arizona Department of Health Services to continue to provide women, infant, and child nutritional services and breastfeeding support from October 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2028. Mr. Beck.
Chairman, Member Supervisors. So our funding keeps staying level year after year with this, but when able to, Arizona Department of Health Services has actually worked with us a lot to make sure that we've been able to keep our WIC offices in both northern and southern Gila County open, which has been really great. We're still able to, our numbers went up during COVID because they really laid back on some of the requirements for being in office, so we're able to work with more clients now because we do more over the phone and by email and video conferencing with people, and that's helped to improve redemption and people taking upon the WIC services. So again, this is for the low cost for women and mothers, the education, formula, food. It's just a great program for making sure we do all those things. And for me, it's a great program which across all the states in the U.S., this is where we get some of our best data for young children and how they're doing weight-wise, iron, different things, different metrics. It's where we get a lot of our data so that we know how we're doing with our youngest and most important population.
Thank you, Josh. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I have no questions. I just appreciate all that you keep over and in charge of for all that we do for different people and the different programs that we do.
And I will say this one is, there's no match for this. We have 5 full-time staff that work on this grant.
Great. Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey. Supervisor Klein?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
I'm good too. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve intergovernmental agreement contract number CTR 067227 with the Arizona Department of Health Services as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Josh, we're on to 4P. Information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 3 to grant agreement number RFGA 2020-001-04 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $256,146 to extend the performance period to September 30th, 2024, which will allow the Gila County Health and Emergency Department to continue providing Arizona Health Zone Program SNAP Ed services.
So this grant, for one of my favorite ones, so we have 3 full-time staff paid for, no match, and we pay a 10% indirect to the county. And this one has a lot of flexibility. So this is, if you know food stamps, however you want to say it, there's a percentage of that funding that goes towards education. So the goal was never that people just buy whatever they want, that we teach them also the healthy foods and the healthy ways to eat with their food stamps. So this funding goes towards primarily, we teach classes like My Plate, Food Pyramid, and those things in the schools, but it also gives us a lot of flexibility to do other things in Gila County. So we have, if you know Janice Chesser up in Gila, up in the Payson area, she works at our Northern Payson office. They have walking clubs up there. They get everybody out walking. She works a lot with the Payson Farmers Market. If you don't know, we still have one of the best farmers markets in the state. They brag about us all the time at the state level. And thanks to Janice and the work she does up there, we have one of the highest per capita redemptions at the farmers market of anybody in the state. So, and that's part of the reason why our farmers market does so well. We've been able to help out a lot with the Arizona and Miami through this grant, with signage and a bunch of the work that was done there. And just now, our staff is working with Borderlands Produce Rescue. They're going to be bringing 75 pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables per person. People can register online beforehand for $20, or they can show up at the event for $15. The reason the difference is if you just show up without registering, you may not get a basket, but it's a great program. It's great for us. We're going to be using it with a lot of our clients, kind of like synergistically using it with our HIV program, different programs to get these fruits. And they were showing me pictures this morning. 75 pounds of fruits and vegetables is quite a bit of fruits and vegetables. So it's a great program that we're going to be able to use across our programs. Kaylee and I were looking at ways possibly we can even use it across community services programs. And these are the kind of grants that are great in public health because they give me a little bit of flexibility outside of just teaching the education classes of kind of getting out there and improving services around food and nutrition in Gila County.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions. Just thank you again.
Supervisor Klein?
That's really cool, Josh. So the more you can expand on that, the better off we'll be. Thanks for doing that.
With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 3 to the Arizona Department of Health Services Grant Agreement number RFGA 2020-001-04 in the amount of $256,146 as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Josh. That's the end of the Josh Beck Show. Now we're going to have the Homero Avila Show. Let's change channels. Item 4Q, information, discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to Arizona State Procurement Contract Agreement number ADSP 018-207044 with J.E. Fuller Hydrology and Geomorphology Incorporated to extend the term of the contract until J.E. Fuller completes the project. Homero.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. This item is about the wise utilization of different money, both for design and for construction. It targets an area in Russell Gulch, the downstream area, and it'll benefit some of our largest infrastructures, both the hospital and the utilities, as well as providing flood relief for the neighbors that run alongside the channel between Bessage and Hospital Drive. This is a continuation of a contract. It's actually amendment number 1. And back in January of last year, the board approved $756,172 that DIFM had offered for engineering design for telegraph fire flood mitigation related projects. At that time, we were working on multiple projects with NRCS. When NRCS informed us that the Emergency Watershed Protection Program and the 222 days that our project scope would exceed the 222 days, and we lost that grant funding, we turned to DIFM and said, can we take the 2.6 million that you were going to authorize as local share and use that on project construction, and we'll use the remaining monies for design to finish the design. And that's where we're at, and that's the reason for this amendment. So we have tomorrow, J.E. Fuller comes to the county or via Zoom, presents to the county a 90% design on the Russell Gulch project. Again, from Bessage, right by the hospital, to Hospital Drive. And they're going to show that they can improve the flow in that area from 600 cubic feet to 1,900 cubic feet per second. And it's going to have an articulated block bottom on the channel, so it'll be easy to maintain, and it should be a long-lasting flood mitigation project. And with the 90% design, we can move forward. One of the challenges that remains, and we did ask them to target a project in the $2.6 million range, okay, so that we can get it done. And that's what they're doing, and that's what the reason for part of the redesign. One of the challenges for us when we increase the flow, that significant amount, is that two things happen. One, the base flood elevation is lowered along most of that stretch, but slightly rises 1/10 of a foot on the very downstream end where the box culverts are going to go. And so we will need to check with FEMA to see if that requires a conditional letter of map revision. And if that's the case, it may add additional time elements to the final completion of this project. What we're targeting is the design should be done by January, February next year. We would probably need some time to work with FEMA, and the project should be completed by December of next year. And so with that, I would like to ask for the board to approve the amendment, number 1, to contract ADS P018-207044 with J.E. Fuller to extend the contract to allow them to finish the project completion and provide the as-builds and post-construction design work as well as part of the amendment.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Romero, did I understand that we have funding for this once it is designed? Or did I misunderstand you?
Yes, no, we have funding. The funding is there. We ran out of time.
Okay.
Previously, the board approved $756,172. That money is not all spent. There's about $204,000 of that remaining, and that's what we would like to use, but the contract has expired with J.E. Fuller, and we need to add time to that contract.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good as well. Thank you, Homero. With that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 1 to Arizona State Procurement Contract Agreement number ADSP 018-207044 as presented.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Number 4R, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 1 to professional services contract number 101721 with Kimberly Horn and Associates Incorporated to increase the post-design services and contract administration for the Tano Creek Bridge project in the amount of $31,508.46 for a total contract amount of $206,521.46.
Mr. Chairman and board, Kimberly Horn designed the bridge, and it's only natural that they assist with the post-design engineering that's required during a construction of this type. And they sit at the meetings that we have with the contractor and with ADOT on a weekly basis. Anytime there is a request for contingency money, They assist us in determining whether it's a valid ask or not. And they help us with defending when it's not, the argument that we present both to the ADOT and the contractor. But in addition to what they do is post-design. Along the way, they get asked many questions by the contractor. What does this design mean, and how do you expect me to do it if I've never seen something like this? So the last questions, part of what he got paid for was to take care of those day-to-day routine things. However, we've seen 3 or 4 things that have come up that are not expected and are a little and more unusual. One of them is the diaphragm. The contractor came to us and said, I prefer to use concrete diaphragms instead of steel diaphragms. The diaphragms is the mechanical structure that holds the girders together mid-span. In other words, the girders sit on the piers, and in the middle, you want to make sure that they're not moving, so you either put a steel diaphragm or a concrete diaphragm. The contractor had more experience with concrete and offered a cost reduction if we were to redesign the diaphragm, and we did. We didn't want to slow the project down. The functionality remains the same. They are just as good, and we got a small cost reduction from that and credit to our contingency. The other thing is, when we started to put the steel bar cages into the 70-foot drill shafts and pour the concrete, the steel rebar was moving inside of the column. And everyone preferred for that not to move and for it to be exactly located where it's supposed to be. And we asked Kimley Horn to improve the design to make sure that it stayed in place while we were pouring the concrete. So that was an additional design that they did. Okay. One of the other designs is their geotech firm helped us along the way in making decisions when we had the item of the shaft, us not being sure, meaning ADOT and the contractor not being sure that the bottom of the shaft was okay, and their geotech firm helped us understand the situation and to make the right decisions as we went along. The last item is we designed a road that leads to the Forest Service office alongside old 188. That was always part of the design. When the Forest Service, when they started to build it, the Forest Service came to us and they said it's too narrow. So we all went and looked at it, we agreed it was too narrow, and they redesigned the widening of the road. Those are the things that make up the $31,586 request on amendment number 1 to this contract. And with that, we'd like to ask for your approval of this amount and this amendment number 1.
Thank you, Homero. Any questions to Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein?
Yeah, I don't. I was unaware of anything building a road for the government, but we could have maybe traded off with a biologist, Homero. So, thank you. Thank you for all that.
Okay, with that, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 1 to professional services contract number 101721 with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated in the amount of $31,508.46 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Homero 4S, information discussion action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bid number 092523 for the purchase of 2 new Class 8 10-wheel dump trucks as outlined in the solicitation. Homero.
Chairman, thank you. So we have about 15 or so 10-wheel dump trucks, many of them older than 20 years. One of these, C015, is 41 years old, 1982, 563 miles, and it's just hard to find parts for it, and it's not reliable. Okay, it's just that old. The other one is unfortunately was sitting on a soft shoulder when they dumped material and the dump truck rolled over, and it's been totaled by ASIP, and we'd like to replace that. It was relatively new, 1998, 184,000 miles, but it's totaled, and we would like to replace that one as well. So we'd like to replace these 2 trucks, and they were budgeted. We anticipated buying 2 trucks, and the age of our equipment really requires that we replace these trucks. So with that, I'd like to ask for you to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bids for the purchase of these two new Class 8 10-wheel dump trucks.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
And Supervisor Klein.
Neither do I. Thank you, Homer. And we need to do that.
Yeah, thank you, Homer. That's the one that's up in the Star Valley Yard that's red.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty beat up. Look, did anyone get hurt during that?
Pardon me?
Did anyone get hurt?
No. We were very fortunate.
Yeah. Okay, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement for invitation for bid number 092523.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
A motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 4T, information discussion action to approve intergovernmental agreement number 091423 between Gila County and the town of Miami, which authorizes the town of Miami to purchase fuel from Gila County for the period of November 19th, 2023 through November 18th, 2024. Homero.
Thank you. And Chairman, if you would allow me to go back to the previous item, we are in the process of installing tilt meters on some of our vehicles. We're going to test out how well they work, and then if it works like we want them to, a tilt meter that has an alarm and tells the person in digital fashion how far the slope, how much they're sloping on the road. The other one is some of the road yards have started this, not all, but we're gonna get all of them to do it. We are using spotters anytime we think there is a need to use a spotter on dumping fed wheel dump trucks. So we don't want to repeat those kind of things. They do pose a danger to our employees and others as well.
Very good, thank you.
So back to the item of the approval of IGA number 1091423 for the town of Miami fuel purchases. This is actually something that we've done in the past. It expired. The IGA that we have recently expired. The town of Miami operates the transit system, which serves Globe, Miami, and other incorporated areas of Gila County between Globe and Miami. This is beneficial to them. We sell the gasoline to them at cost, which means it includes the administrative cost of managing the fuel stations, and they would like for us to approve this IGA so they can continue to use our fueling station.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, is that just for the transit, or is that for their sheriff's office and town equipment, or is that just for the transit?
I know for certain that they use it for their buses, the transit system. I'm not sure about the rest of their fleet.
Okay, that's okay.
Chairman, member supervisors, according to the IGA, it does say that it is for the transit systems and vehicles and equipment within the town's police and public works department.
So it is for all of the needs of town of Miami. Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good, Homero. Thanks for doing that.
Okay, thank you, Homero. I will call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve intergovernmental agreement number 091423 with the town of Miami as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And Homero will skip down to our next item for you. It's just for you. Information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 23-11-04, authorizing a roadway exchange for property owned by Gila County and property owned by abutting owners Robert and Sarah Chapek for a needed right-of-way to Gila County for continued road maintenance and to the Tri-City Regional Sanitary District for installation of its new sewer system, and authorizing the board chairman to sign the quit claim deed deeding property to the Chapeks.
Thank you, Chair. So we are working with Tri-City on allowing them to use our roadways, our public roads, for the utility, for them putting in their sewer utility. Actually, there's a state statute that allows them to use any public roads for installation of their sewer utility lines. We had a meeting with them, their attorney, and Jeff Dalton, our county attorney, was at the meeting, and they concluded that they have the right to use our roadways. And so in the work that we do with Tri-City, we discovered that one of our roads encroaches on the Chapek's property. It actually cuts their corner. And they built a fence. It's not shown here, but they built a fence that actually encroaches on our road up here. You can actually see it right here, the fence. And so we would like to do a road exchange the corner for that area where their fence is at. And it's an area that we haven't used. The fence has been there for many, many years. It's a road with a very low traffic count, and the road exchange will first of all remedy the encroachment that we have on their property, and allow them to not tear down their fence, as well as helping Tri-City because they wanted to put their line across that corner as well. So I think this is something that helps all the parties, and it remedies our encroaching of their property. And with that, we'd like to ask for you to authorize the roadway exchange between Gila County and the Chapek family, so that we can continue to maintain that road where it's at.
Okay, Supervisor Humphrey.
I would just assume that they are agreeing to this prior to bringing it to us.
Supervisor Humphrey, yes, they have signed the
Okay.
easement.
Yeah, that's good, thank you. No
Okay.
further questions. Mr.
Okay, Supervisor Klein.
I'm good with it, Romero.
Yep, I'm fine as well, so I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 23-11-04 and authorize the board chairman to sign the quitclaim deed.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. For the information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 23-11-01, granting a sewer easement to the Tri-City Regional Sanitary District over a portion of Long Street for the installation of the new sewer system by the TRSD, and authorize the board chairman to sign the grant of easement. Romero.
Thank you, Chair. So, like I mentioned last year, we met with Tri-City Sanitary District, and they agreed per state statute that, and we agreed that per state statute, they can use public roads to install their sewer lines. But we made a request that we made of them at that time was that they apply for a right-of-way permit when they do phase one, and every other phase beyond that. But on a per phase basis, that they submit a right-of-way permit showing us where all their lines are going to be under our roads. Okay, we just need to know that, a record for the future. They agreed to do that. And at the same time, we agreed that if they wanted to go across county properties where there is no road, or where there is a road but it's not been dedicated, that the property is still like a parcel number, where there's no road dedicated or road easement, but it is a county property, that they would provide documentation and request an easement from the Board of Supervisors across county property. And that is what the next two board items are about. The roads, you may see the roads on the maps, but the roads have not been dedicated. It's just an entire parcel that the county has purchased from the state or from someone else sometime in the past. And so these exist today as parcels with a parcel number, and you don't necessarily see a public road dedication on them. And for that reason, Tri-City is coming to us with these two easements, a request for these easements, so that later on, if the county decides to sell these properties, we will be able to tell the future owners there's a utility easement that you would have to respect. And in some of these cases, if you were to look at this, there's like 500 questions that can come up from looking at these maps actually. And I brought some cheat sheets with me in case I get stuck, okay? But the simple thing is, these are our properties. There is no road that's necessarily dedicated per se. And Tri-City is coming and saying, can we have an easement to take these lines to these homes? And that's the best way to think about it. And so with that, I would like to ask the board to approve resolution number 23-1101, granting an easement to Tri-City Sanitary District for their lines.
Thank you, Romero. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions. I just have a great appreciation, Homero, for you working with Tri-City with these easements and some of the things. I think that's going to be very important for infrastructure for that area. So thank you very much for bringing this to us and working with them on that.
Thank you, Supervisor.
so
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good, Homero.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Yep.
I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 23-11-01 and authorize the board chairman to sign the grant of.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The last item for Homero 4W, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 23-11-02, granting a sewer easement needed to the Tri-City Regional Sanitary over a portion of Bancroft Way and authorize the board chairman to sign the grant easement.
Mr. Chairman, Bancroft Way, even though on the plat it's a straight line, it is not a straight line. It actually makes almost like a U-turn as it currently exists today. And in making that U-turn, it cuts across various county properties. Parcel number ending in 76, 78A, 78B, and 79. It cuts across those parcels because Bancroft was platted. And I'd like to pass this out because it shows you, if I could, the red is the Bancroft Way, the road that exists today. You can see right above it what was platted. And the green line is where the utility easement plants are, where the utility Tri-City plants are put their lines. And you can see that we're way off the road. And for that reason, the county purchased these properties in years past because the road was not where it was supposed to be. And so now we have these properties that we own that we may decide to sell tomorrow or next year. And if we sell them, we would like to tell people where these utilities are at. We would like to have the Tri-City connect the property that exists on parcel 80 on this map, because there is a house there. And so in making that connection and the other connections, they would like for us to grant them an easement across these properties. And so with that, I will take questions, and I would ask the board to grant a sewer easement to Tri-City Sanitary over a portion of Bancroft Way, and for the board to sign, the board chairman to sign that easement.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Humphrey.
Homero, I have no questions, just appreciation. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good. Thank you, Homero.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen, Homero.
We have that in all these.
What happened? Did somebody lose their steering wheel?
No, but you get into some of these areas, it's straight up and down. Some of these roads.
Oh, I see.
Ride a bicycle up and down.
Okay, yeah, we don't have the mountain here. Okay. Thank you, Homero. I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 23-11-02 and authorize the board chairman to sign the grant of easement.
And I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 And I'm glad you're chair with all this signing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Homero. Okay, I can see the end in sight. 4X, information, discussion, action to approve economic development agreement number 102023 between Gila County and Gila County Gem and Mineral Society in the amount of $4,000 for the 66th annual Gila County Gem and Mineral Show, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, this is a great deal, and they have a good showing, and they bring in people from all over, not only the state but out of states with different minerals and rocks, and they do a great education. You know, the school even takes busloads of kids out to look at all the different rocks, and they teach people on where these different things come from, and it's really a great deal that they do, and I appreciate helping them because they do benefit the public in education quite a bit.
Supervisor Klein, any comments or questions?
Supervisor Humphreys, is that your constituent dollars?
It is.
You want to split it?
Sure.
Cool. You want to go in on thirds?
Melissa, do I have any money left? Okay. Yeah, let's go in on thirds. I'll entertain a motion.
You know, guys, I appreciate this so much because they do an awful lot, and it helps them a lot. And so, and it's great to work with a board that sees things like that. So I appreciate it very much.
Very good. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve Economic Development Grant Agreement 102023 with the Gila County Gem and Mineral Society in the amount of $4,000, which will be split in 3 ways between the Board of Supervisors constituent funds, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I will second.
Okay, are we all good? Samantha, Jessica, everything? Okay. They're looking strange. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. And why didn't you ask the third thing on this next one?
They've been better, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say on this next one, we'll just 3 times it instead of.
Okay.
So, 4Y. So information, discussion, and action to approve Economic Development Agreement 102123 between Gila County and the Love Where You Live in the amount of $250 to Dogtoberfest 2023 for the upkeep of parks and support of local clubs, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Mr. Humphrey.
Yeah, this again is a local deal, and they get together and do a Dogtoberfest, which is like kind of an Oktoberfest. But the funds go for the dog parks and things like that, and it's amazing when you go to those dog parks, the people that use them for exercising their dogs and things. So it is a great benefit to the public because it gives the people a place to go walk their dogs rather than in traffic trying to stay on sidewalks with other kids and things going on. So anyway, that's all I have, and I'll take any questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Supervisor Humphrey, how many dog parks do we have here in the Globe area?
I know of one up at Nosker Hill, but and I'm not sure if there's another one or not.
Who normally tends those? Is it the city of Globe?
I think so. Yes.
Okay,
but it's within the city limits. Yes.
But this would go to the local clubs, which I assume there's different dog clubs throughout the area.
Yes.
Okay.
Jessica, you have something?
Chairman, just to specify that the request letter indicates that the event is raising funds for the Rainbow Bridge, which is a memorial spot for the pets. People can bring their deceased animals' tags and collars to celebrate the love that they shared with their pets.
The what bridge?
It's called a Rainbow Bridge. That's where the funds will be. That's what they're raising funds for.
Okay.
That's a portal to heaven for the dogs.
Okay. And so is that at one of our local parks, our dog parks? Is that where that?
No, it's not one of our dog parks. I was under the assumption that it was for our dog parks. But if it's, yeah, I don't know what. Okay. We can table this one until we get some more information, because I was under the assumption that it was for the dog parks. I didn't realize that it was for deceased animals, because I don't know where they're putting them or what they're doing with them. I don't know that we have a pet cemetery.
Not that I'm aware of.
Supervisor Humphrey, Christine is signaling that she'd like to say something if you'd like.
Do you want me to share? So the $250 is specifically was originally for getting our name out there in the Dogtoberfest for upkeeps of the parks and recreations. The Rainbow Bridge is what they're going to use the additional funds from that marketing towards. The Rainbow Bridge specifically is a poem related to pets passing and memorials to it. That's why it's called the Rainbow Bridge. And then they are going to put that in a dog park around. When I looked up how many dog parks we have about 5 in the area.
So where do they take these dogs for the Rainbow Bridge?
It's not actually burying the dogs, it's a remembrance plaque for them, from what I understand. I can get clarification on that too.
Chairman, it looks like it may be at the Globe Canine Mine Dog Park. They referenced that in the request letter.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I'm at a loss. Yeah, like I said, I thought it was to go to benefit the dog parks. And so that's what I had thought. I didn't realize that it was going for plaques for deceased dogs. I'm all for giving to a fund that works with the dog parks. And if that's where this is, Christine, then that's fine. But if it's just for plaques, then I will table this.
You want to table it?
She said it was more for the dog parks than the plaque, but the extra would be.
Well, that apparently that's not how it was written. So I'll table this for now. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to table.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll table that for now, and we'll move on to item 5, which is the consent agenda. After reviewing the consent agenda items, either of the supervisors like to pull one or more of those items off for specific discussion and vote? Supervisor Humphrey.
I do not care to pull anything.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5F.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, call to the public, item number 6. Do we have anyone, Lisa, in Payson?
No, sir, we do not.
Thank you. Cassandra, how many did we have today, and do we have anyone? Nothing here and no one here in Globe. We'll move on to the summaries of the county manager, the supervisors. James, do you have anything for us?
A few things, Mr. Chairman. We did meet with the partners of Gila Proud, which are those that are working on the beautification of US 60 through Miami Globe, through the area. Do have partners and potential partners up to what is necessary for the contract for this current year. And also going to have discussions, had preliminary discussions, but ongoing discussions of permanent beautifications, things we can do to the corridor to help address it, like trees, planting trees and those types of things in the 60 corridor through town. Secondly, Ms. Grice and I met with Representative Cook last week. A couple of things that, in addition to a number of topics, talked to him about the Russell Road, which was discussed with Mr. Vela today. And of course, Representative Cook is very interested in Russell Gulch and Russell Road and getting that connected back to the forest and the mountains here in town. Also had a discussion about how we get stuck on potential property out by the fairgrounds and how it can contribute to workforce housing and developing that for that, which Representative Cook is very interested in workforce housing, supporting that. So Representative Cook was very interested in helping us in whatever way possible. Explained how the State Department of Housing, State Land Department is difficult to deal with as a small governmental entity, and Representative Cook will help us to establish meetings and things that we need with the director or whoever we need to at the State Land Department to move that forward. So I think a very productive meeting with Representative Cook. Appreciate his help and his advocating for Gila County at the state legislature. And finally, just a quick comment about the Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat. Attended that Saturday evening in Payson. A beautiful event, very successful. And I think it accomplished all the boxes in getting some financial support for the Veterans Retreat, but a truly fabulous event for the Veterans Retreat, and I was privileged to be able to attend. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Manager Menlove. Supervisor Humphrey.
I'm gonna continue having my meetings. The Stagecoach Resort closed, and so my Roosevelt meeting on the 13th will be at the Baptist Church. And throughout the month, I spent quite a bit of time in Gila. I went to a volunteer fire meeting. They have a volunteer fire department to see what I can do to help them, or what's kind of going on with them. Also did some, I rode with Randy Plummer we drove around and looked at some of the properties there that are kind of blighted, and so I'd had several complaints there, so we kind of rode around and looked at that. And then on Saturday, I had a cleanup day at Roosevelt where we had pre-scheduled to have dumpsters out there on Saturday, so I did that. And so that's why I didn't make it to the veterans deal. I did buy a ticket, I did support it. I just didn't feel as if it was time quality for me to get through all of that and try to get up to the other deal too, but I hope it went very well, and it was well attended from what I understand. And so that does it for me.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Klein.
Mine's short and sweet. I managed to get in there to the Republican headquarters right at the tail end of the chili cook-off.
Yep.
But it looked like you guys all had a good crowd. I'm sure you're going to talk about it. I was at the fundraiser in Payson, and Kathy, and I tell you what, I was really impressed with the amount of county folks. That was really good, and it was a full house. They had talked about selling like 135, 140 tickets total. Ended up cutting it off at 120, just because of the size of the room and where the other tables would be. It wouldn't work, but it was a good time. They raised a lot of money, and Kathy's got down here around $34,856. So that was a very, very good night, and it seemed like everyone had a good time and enjoyed visiting and all that. So it was a pleasure to see, real pleasure. And RIM Institute right there did an outstanding job of putting it all together. They're really a bunch of good folks to work with and visit with. They were great, and so it really came out good. And with that, that's all really that I had.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor. Well, the Hash Knife Monument ceremony went really well, very well received, and I've received a lot of compliments about that since we did it, and how great it was, and to have the horses there and all of that was just so outstanding. So a lot of compliments there. I was on KRIM on November 1st, just one of my regular monthly radio shows. And then we had a quilt show last weekend, I think it was, and November 4th, 5th, right in there. Always outstanding. I support that with some of my constituent funds, and it just, it draws a lot of people into town, a great deal. I want to thank Homero, Wayne Jones, and Scott Warren. They helped me work through a parking situation that we have in a Pine community that's been pretty difficult over about a year and a half. And so we were able to come to resolution on that, and I appreciate Homero and his staff for really helping work through that and contributing to that. The Chili Cook-Off was the first annual. It was great. There was classic cars there. I don't know, 100, 200 people, I don't know, but there was about 10 different chilies, there was salsas, and everybody just really enjoyed it. It was great. The gala, once again, you did miss a great event. It was a lot of fun. And the most exciting part was really the live auction at the end. It just really, you know, David Marshall became the impromptu auctioneer, not necessarily wanted to be, but the crowd just really supported the auction. paid more than things were worth and then would donate things back to be auctioned again and again. It just was marvelous because it just showed to me that the community really supports this veterans retreat. They really do. And then we had a veteran event yesterday that Sheriff Cassie put on. It's over the course of several days there at the Gila County Republican headquarters. I was asked to speak and I did, and so appreciate her inviting me to do that. And also I've received a few emails with regard to the Pine Strawberry Water Improvement District drilling a deep well in Strawberry. And I talked to Randy about that to see if there's any involvement that the county has with regard to that working. He said he's spoken with Jeff Dalton on that. And the answer is basically no. We permit the electric, or will permit a couple of things, but they have the right to go into that community as a water district and drill that well. And I just, so there's nothing that county interacts with that water district when it comes to this deep well that they're going to be drilling in a neighborhood that some of the residents are concerned about that. So if any of those people are listening, that's the answer that I got. And with that, that's all I have. If there's nothing else, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I felt to neglected, and I don't want to be remiss in recognizing Mrs. Melvin and Mrs. Grice for the Veterans Gala, that they have spent tireless hours, nights and weekends, and contributing their own financial resources in that. And I want to make a public recognition of these two fine young ladies, that they are amazing and do great things for the Board of Supervisors and for Gila County. So thank you.
You know, everyone involved, Cameron and his wife, Kathy. Did you have the steak, the filet? The best filet I've ever had in my life. I don't know what happened there. I don't know. I've got to get the way he cooked that.
It's good.
It was incredible. So with that, if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn the meeting.